there. And of course, I think we also are running on Instagram as well. In addition to that, if you want to call to tell us what's on your plate today, the number to do so is 452 3046. Again, 452 3046. As well as our WhatsApp number. You can message into that number. It is 758 724 0008. Again, if you want to message in via WhatsApp or call in as well, you can do so. That number is the 758 area code and 724 0008. Now, today we're sending some birthday greetings over to Mr. Sant Justin. Happy birthday to you, sir. And we do hope that you're having a splendid birthday celebration. Hope you're not dancing to too much Denry segment. Hope you're staying calm and taking in, of course, unfortunately, all that weather that's out there. But we do wish you a wonderful, wonderful birthday. And interestingly enough, you're celebrating your birthday with Al Sharpton, who turns 69 today. I thought he was a little bit older than that, to be quite honest, but he's just 69. Bit of history for today. Well, in the year 2333 BC, the state of Gojoseon, or modern-day Korea, was founded by Dangon Wagyeom, and that was during the reign of Chinese Emperor Yao. In the year 52 BC, Vercingetorix, the leader of the Gauls, surrendered to the Romans under Julius Caesar, and ending the siege and battle of Alesia. In the year 1283, this is AD now, David ap Griffith, who was the Prince of Gwynedd in Wales, he became the first person executed by being hanged, drawn, and quartered. 922, a bit of technology. First, the first facsimile photo was sent over city telephone lines in Washington, D.C., in the United States. 1935, on this day, saw Italy getting into the race for Africa, and they tried to invaded Ethiopia, starting the Second Italo-Ethiopian War. In 1990, on this day, reunification of East and West Germany, with the West German flag raised above the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin on the stroke of midnight. And, of course, you may have remembered this moment in October the 3rd, 1995, when former NFL running back, broadcaster, and actor O.J. Simpson was found not guilty of the murders of Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman in Los Angeles, California. We now move on to our dish of the day. The Daily Dish is brought to you the kind compliments of our good friends at Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. With all kind of tiles, come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gas and vanity. Box, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses Joux Grizzlies, and Slack Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. We do hope that everyone had a very enjoyable Thanksgiving weekend here in St. Lucia. And, of course, yesterday was a holiday, the first Monday in October. Every year is celebrated as a holiday. Quite a number of people have been asking about why we actually even have this holiday. And in fact, it is our Thanksgiving holiday as opposed to North America, the US and Canada. They have theirs in September. Our Thanksgiving has traditionally been on this day, and it certainly also has been a very important feast day for adherents to the Anglican and Methodist communities, but also Catholic communities as well have celebrated Thanksgiving on this day, sometimes known as Harvest. and of course the traditional bazaars, which have been held near Trinity Church, as well as other Anglican churches around the island. Also, we saw a number of other communities getting in on the activities, and of course, we saw in the capital of Castries, that of Marsha celebrating their special day as well, Marsha Day, which was largely centered on the Mindu Phillip Park and the events going on there. And Babonneau as well was celebrating not just a day, but it was termed Babonneau Days, Daze, and of course welcomed hundreds of people to a number of different activities, from, of course, train rides to a bazaar fair type events, of course, to fun walks and football sports matches, as the case may be. So certainly it was, of course, a pretty busy weekend. Also, a number of communities kicked off the beginning or the commencement of Moi Héritage Creole, Creole Heritage Month, which is, of course, celebrated here in St. Lucia for the month of October. And a number of activities have been lined up. And, of course, we saw a number of communities, including Soufrière, including Canaries, as well as the Mabuya Valley in the district of Dennery, launching their activities, variety of different events, from flotillas to musical bands to performances to people playing games, traditional games, bamboo bursting, masquerade, the works certainly, as Journée Creole is fast approaching, which is the climax to the Moi Héritage Creole, and no doubt there'll be a number of other activities coming up for the month of October, including that of La Marguerite, which is celebrated on the 17th of October. Now, there has been the issue over in the United Kingdom of a number of schools, interestingly enough, and other public buildings which were constructed between the 1950s through the 1980s or thereabouts, using a particular form of concrete, and it's a particular form of building termed rack, and that is being used quite extensively in the United Kingdom and in a number of different schools. And the word out there is that I think over 200 or so schools have, in fact, are down because they are at risk of collapse, and so they, of course, have a serious situation on their hands. And no doubt it will require the constructing of new schools, as well as the demolition of others, existing facilities. Well, here in St. Lucia, we saw some demolition over the weekend, and that was centered around the Block X, located in the CDC apartment complex, or the Castries Housing Estate, I think as it was known when it was first developed back in the post-1948 period. Those buildings being part of a new scheme or new plan for the redevelopment of Castries in the wake of that fire, which destroyed upwards of, I think, about 30 acres of the Castries grid. And of course, Castries had not too long before also faced another fire. In the history of Castries, I think there have been about 4 or 5 significant fires. The first one being in 1796 during the attempts to recapture the island by the British at a time when freedom fighters, Negma War, had been able to lay claim to the island for about a year, and none other than Sir Ralph Abercrombie coming in with his force in May of 1796, ended up accidentally burning the city of Castries, apparently. And that was the first known major fire for Castries. There was another one, I think, back in 1813. And then, of course, the fire of 1927, which destroyed a number of buildings. And out of the wake of that, saw some new buildings also being constructed after that fire. In fact, the Peter and Company building down at the corner of Miku and Manuel Street dates from that post-1927 fire period. I believe as well, of course, the library, the Carnegie Library, which was built in 1924, that also got some damage during that fire, but was in fact reinstated. And so it destroyed much of Castries, and so even after that rebuilding of the 1920s, late 1920s, Castries was again destroyed by fire in about 20 years later in 1948, in June 19th and 20th of 1948. And in the wake of that, a considerable amount of work had been done to look at trying to prevent any fires from being able to destroy the town of Castries in that like manner. At the time, fire response, fire appliances, the fire department was non-existent. It was just a subsidiary of the police, I believe, at that time. And and of course, there was no significant infrastructure to fight fires. And so in the wake of that, a number of actions were taken, including the construction of a new fire station located on Jeremy Street near the Northern Wharf. And of course, the thinking then was that it would be in close proximity to the sea in the event of having to use seawater for fighting fires. Some of the other approaches taken was the creation of a central block, which would have served as a sort of a fire break. And you see this being used quite often by firefighters when they're trying to fight off forest fires in particular. These are driven by usually the wind, and it was the very same thing that happened in Castries during that period in 1948, where the wind blowing from east to west was what was carrying these fires from block to block, effectively jumping the fairly narrow streets of Castries at the time. And so the idea of creating this central block so as to ensure that the downtown, or the part of the city closest to the water, was in fact protected from the chaussee side of the, or chaussee division of the city. And so that very long block in front of the cathedral from Jeremy Street, between Jeremy, Labrie, Miku, and Pena was created, and really meant to originally have been a sort of an open space to be able to prevent that jumping of the fire and continuous spread of the fire. So that was actually designed in such a way so as to be able to protect the city from this type of conflagration, which would have devastated the downtown part of the fire. And so that was one of the urban design measures that had been taken up and recommended, and in fact was implemented by the Castries Town Board and the CDC, Colonial Development Corporation, which was involved in reconstruction of the town of Castries at that time. And of course, we then saw the introduction of a housing estate of what was supposed to have been, for its time, pretty modern housing. And of course, we now know them nearly 80 years on as the CDCs. Of course, they have been dated, and unfortunately, perhaps have not been as well maintained as one would expect. And of course, they are in also a fairly difficult environment, as we do know, Castries being so very low-lying, effectively on a mud flat, and the issues that come with that, and issues of foundations and issues of materials that were used during construction have led to less than sturdy buildings as what we would require today. And so, albeit when that housing estate was completed back in about 1952, with about 216 or so units or rental units, we have seen since then some of those buildings having to be brought down. I think thus far, prior to the demolition of Block X, there were 3 other structures part of that complex which have already been brought down. It is perhaps inevitable that the entire complex will at some point have to be redeveloped. And no doubt it will hopefully also be used as a means of urban regeneration. One of the issues, certainly, which had been complained about when the scheme was actually being developed back then, was that Castries was actually losing its traditional grid form. And back before the 1948 fire, streets like Victoria Street, for instance, ran the entire distance from the chaussee right down to Manuel Street, and so on. And certainly a significant change in the grid occurred in the creation of these super blocks for the CDCs. Of course, it has its pros and its cons, but one of the issues, of course, no doubt, has been how perhaps circuitous it may be sometimes in actually walking through the CDC complex because of the orientation of those buildings, not necessarily giving any clear line of sight in many instances. And so perhaps in a redevelopment of that those 5 acres that find themselves in the downtown of Castries, hopefully some consideration will be given to, in fact, celebrating the aspects of what was good in the past with the city, as well as ensuring better walkability and better urban design as we move further into the 21st century. Interestingly enough, it was within that general vicinity of the CDC, in the vicinity of where the playing court is, where in fact that fire actually started, and which certainly reshaped the dynamic and the orientation and the look and feel of the city of Castries. That's our dish of the day. When we come back, we'll take in your calls.
This has been The Daily Dish.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. Did all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down, don't mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Lance Road in Castries, Bosses Joe Grosile, and Slack Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
And welcome back to the Lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. The number to call in is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And you can also message in to our WhatsApp number. That is 724-0008. Again, 724-0008. Now, at the moment, there is, in fact, Parliament meeting in Castries. The House of Assembly is meeting this morning. Was meeting this morning and continuing into the afternoon. I think it started off a little bit late. And as part of that, on the order paper, some borrowings, some new loans, which have to be, of course, approved and guaranteed, including a loan for the financing of the Youth Economy Agency. Of course, that has been one of the government's leading projects, and it is going to be a beneficiary of a loan from the Caribbean Development Bank, I think in the amount of somewhere around close to 20 million EC dollars. Let's go to the phone lines at this time to take in our first call for the day. Good afternoon and welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, caller. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. I was listening to a video of Mr. Callistus, shall we? I think had a video of the garbage. You see alongside the George F.L. Charles Airport?
Yes, at VG.
On the fence inside there. He actually kept on repeating himself, but I mean, he was trying to get to people. The amount of garbage, empty bottles, food, the containers that would eat the food from, and all of those things. And you can hear them and almost in tears because he cannot understand why we hate our country like that, why we're not taking care. And at the end of these days, it's adults. It's not just boys from college just coming down that eating and dropping the food. It's not comprehensive for those. It's adults that's all around that place, and the place to be in such a mess, so much garbage all over the place. I mean, there are bins there.
It is very, very unfortunate and disheartening. I meant to actually raise this during this program. In fact, not too long ago, just in the third Saturday in September is International Coastal Cleanup Day. And in fact, you recall we actually had
public service people that work.
The Toastmasters were one of the groups that were engaged in cleanups along that coastline. And there were a number of other cleanups that were organized by various environmental groups like CYEN. And just over the weekend, in fact, the National Trust had a walk into the Makote mangrove, and they were engaging in some tree planting that's going on there. And caller, it's interesting because I recall that in fact just this season, you're familiar with sea eggs, of course, right? Sea eggs. Sea eggs, shadow.
Oh yes, you step on it.
Sea urchins, exactly, and
yes.
And I mean, that area down there, Bois Shadow, it gets its name from the prevalence of sea eggs. And Vieux Fort used to be, a massive amount of sea eggs would have been brought in on a regular basis. In fact, I should have sent out birthday greetings to my aunt's husband, my uncle McGriffin Theodore, the Mighty Terror. It's his birthday today, so happy birthday to him. Yeah. And I always remember him relating the experience of these sea egg vendors in the town of Vieux Fort, where he was born and grew up, and they would come by, and they were so plentiful, caller.
But we
right?
Have a lot, luckily, on the what you call that past rain, they would go in, and there was a lot there.
Yeah,
they would just crack it and chew it.
And of course they would say that, look, they were so plentiful that you would be getting it for like, a few, I think 5 pence, for a sea egg, and people wouldn't even want to buy them because, that's just that's abundant, and we've got so much of it. And they made the point that they used to wait until 5 o'clock in the afternoon when the vendors were tired, and of course they were almost ready to give away their entire tray.
Yes.
When they would, sit down and feast on sea eggs. And, you fast forward to the reality of today, when the Fisheries Department has actually said that they're not going to be opening the season, because they simply put the population out there, it's too small, it's not, harvestable, it's not, they can't actually allow for a season this year. And it's interesting that we're seeing these changes because a lot of it has to do with how we have treated our environment, how we have ensured, and from many different angles. It's not just one issue or the other. The issue of plastics is a major one.
Yes.
But there's so many other things. The issue of pollution, the issue of nutrification of our waters because of a lot of the fertilizers, the synthetic fertilizers that we are actually using, and of course the large scale livestock. That's another big issue. And of course we have climate change, which is changing the temperature of the water. And then to have all of that and all these other issues, of course, in terms of our wildlife. And then on top of that, here we are as a country that is supposed to be so big on tourism, and we want more visitors to come because we appreciate that nearly 2/3 of our economy is driven by tourism. And this is one of our most iconic beaches, that of VG Beach.
Yeah.
And people seem not to care that, this is part of their country, that this is, you're not dirtying anywhere else but your own backyard. VG Beach is supposed to be everybody's backyard, everybody's front yard, if you want. And that's not how you would treat your private property. So
you have people arriving on the planes right there. That's the sight they get in as soon as they arrive in St. Lucia.
Yeah, I mean,
people are not thinking of all of the. I don't know if you have been by the mangrove by Rendezvous there.
I haven't been there in a little while.
You haven't been there?
I said I haven't been there in a little while.
Yeah, but if you check, if you have this walk, because I'm not able to, because just recently we passed there, but
right.
Inside of that messy, kind of dirty things that my cousins and them are telling me that in that, all kinds of garbage in that. And that's so close to the hotel because people are dropping anything they have with no care or concern for their country. I mean, even right in town, I think by the Print Tree, there's a little wall there, I think, about the Parliament there.
Yes.
You get a lot of plates.
Yes.
And you're taking stench from... I
was about to tell you, Caller, it is very unfortunate that we have streets in Castries that have now been dubbed La Pisa, right? I mean, this is what some of these streets are being called now. I mean, they had names. For instance, I think Westall Street is being referred to as that. I mean, and so forget about
CDCs in town.
Well, and the CDCs and so many other places. Where we see, and of course, we know the appeals that have been made by the CCC. They've pointed out that, look, there are a number of restrooms around the city that can be used, and unfortunately, people seem not to care to utilize those spaces, and so it's certainly not good enough. And
but the rum shops underneath the CCC, they have a toilet, at the back inside. If the people are sitting at the back where I think they have table and chairs, there is a back toilet there. But
no, there is, yes. There are toilets in many of those
all of the
facilities.
The rum shop bars there, they have toilet there. So the men that are drinking, they can ask. Because you're already asked to use the toilet, but they just go at the side of the wall or anywhere, and they urinate, just walking. And there's always been time, because when I have to go into my brother come take me, you pass into the stench of the urine. I mean, my goodness, it's time they start prosecuting people for those things, for littering, for everything. Because unless you don't do that, don't stop. These people are naturally self-stressed,
No, you're very correct, Caller, and it will require some strict rule. Well, we have the rules already. It requires some strict enforcement of these rules, and I think you're very spot on, because otherwise the practice is just normalized, and people think that it's it's okay to do so, and especially, I mean, and what amazes me, Caller, is that you're seeing these things in these built-up areas. This is not out in the middle of nowhere. You see them, and unfortunately, the practice, especially when you've got mass crowd events, and there are places that are having events. I remember even visiting, in Miku, when they were having one of these Friday night events, and literally having to, seeing somebody in front of the church.
Yes.
right? It's supposed to be our national shrine.
Yes.
And that's what's going on. We've got a major problem in terms of caring for our environment, and
But we
but the
don't seem to be
plastic is
doing
the
nothing about
plastic
it.
issue is particularly bad, and that's what we need to certainly
But we're not
come
doing
down on
nothing
very hard
about
on.
it as the law is not being enforced, not at all. It can be done, but they just allow people to do what they want. Litter. What do we have the police officers there for?
But
they have,
Cole, I heard suggestions that people say, boy, we need to have CCTV on the beaches now. I mean, if it call, I don't know. I mean, is it really going to be feasible and practical? I mean, there are changes in our attitudes that have to happen, and a lot of it has to come through public education. Maybe yes, there needs to be some level of shaming as well.
yeah.
In this regard, I am seeing that the practice, especially in terms of reckless driving, people are taking it upon themselves to point out reckless drivers on social media, and let's hope that is appreciated for what it is and it doesn't become anything more than just that, because we need to ensure that we're looking out for each other, and we also need to be providing positive reinforcement that
Because
people will
we need
be
the young
acting
trend that are
accordingly.
coming will follow in our footsteps,
Mm-hmm.
The young trend that are coming up will follow in the footsteps of the adults that are doing that thing, and it has already been there in some schools, because whereby some children who are taught to not litter, they will take it seriously. But as a niece of mine was telling me, she's at secondary school, sometimes when you go into the bathroom, you don't want to use that bathroom because certain children will deliberately just drop things. They will dirty the toilet. I mean, when did you children are starting to do that right now? Some of them, it's not all of them. When they get a little older, what is going to happen to our country?
Well, Caller, maybe we'll have to go to what seems like an extreme for us and go the model of Japan, where they insist that there's no janitor coming to clean the school and your space. You've got to actually ensure that your space is kept clean, and the class has a responsibility to clean up. And maybe that there has to be some level of responsibility brought to bear so that people can appreciate, well, you know what, nobody's going to come and clean up for you. It's going to have to be you to take care of your class space, or you to take care of your recreation space, and hopefully that can assist in terms of a significant shift in terms of our attitudes. But that's part of the problem, Caller, because we all think, well, there's a National Conservation Authority, and they hire people and they're paid to do the cleanup, so that's not my problem.
Okay,
so I can make it worse,
Yes, a gentleman was saying that. A gentleman said, what is National Children about Prevo Park and this park, that park, the place in a mess. But what about the people that are going there? What about the people that are going there? Do they drop their things? They have a drink, they would drop it. The kind of nastiness sometimes they do. I mean, I can remember as bringing up school children by the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College on a picnic to show them, this thing, the war thing they had there. How you call that?
In the Skilling Monument?
Yes, and all
Yes.
of this. To explain those things to those children as young as they are. And you would not believe sometimes the mess that is right there. Sometimes you get even condoms you're finding all over the place. Sometimes the children thinking it's balloons that are there. All kinds of messy things.
Caller, you're very correct about the challenge that we have, and I think, it's going to take some shift. It's going to take a radical shift and a deliberate shift to deal with it. I mean, at once upon a time we had was it Police Zordi?
Yeah.
Litter wardens. But I think part of it too, Caller, is that sense of ownership, that sense of responsibility, how you engender that. I think part of the challenge is that we've lost our sense of volunteering, right? If there's something that's happening in the community and needs to be cleaned up, everybody is now expecting that the state has to pay them to clean it up, right? Even though they may have been the ones to have caused it in the first place.
National voluntary should be compulsory now.
I think, caller, in the case of Dominica, right? Dominica has 2 holidays for its independence. I think the day itself, the 3rd, as well as the 4th, right, is the following day. And the following day is a sort of a day for service.
Yeah.
I think we need to start considering that strongly.
Everybody have to play their part.
Next year we're going to be
45?
We're going to be 45 next year, right? Our independence is going to fall on a Thursday.
Yes.
I think the Friday should perhaps be a holiday too.
Yes.
But it should be a holiday for service. It should be a holiday
national service.
For national service to get people to get into that mode of taking responsibility for their communities.
Of cleaning up, keeping our countries clean. We need to do that. I'm hoping that they're listening to you and people at call and actually put that as part of independence celebration for next year and let it be on the books the rest of the time.
Let's hope so too, caller.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks very, very much for that.
Welcome.
Take care. And we are actually due for our weather report. Of course, we've been experiencing some of the impacts of Tropical Storm Philippe. I know some people were asking for the closure of schools. The schools are still open. But let's try to squeeze in one more call before we head to that weather break. Good afternoon. Welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Hello, good afternoon, Calix. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, caller. How about yourself?
I'm okay.
Good.
I'm calling for the same problem I called in...
You're talking about Wasco?
Right, Wasco.
At Rock Hall?
They came to mark the road. Imagine the marking has come out.
So wait, so you're talking about another... they came, since we've spoken, they came again to mark the road?
They have not come mark. They just marked the road and all the marking come out already, Calix.
So, oh my, okay.
And the road is sinking.
Wow.
Calix, Wasco could hire all consultants on all kind of things. Unless Wasco workers take their work serious, they will always have that problem.
Well, thanks for making that appeal again.
Yeah, because we need Wasco to come and fix up the road, the pipe under the road.
Yeah, and that is, I know there's some areas that seem to... How long has this been a problem, caller?
Wasco is maybe more than 3 to 4 months.
Okay. Well, let's hope that they can get there quickly, because then, a stitch in time saves 9. And if you are saying now that there's it's even causing issues in terms of the stability of the road, then...
Stop that pipe under the road, because when you're standing by the road waiting for a bus, vehicles passing in a pool of water and you're getting wet.
Well, thanks very, very much for being consistent about this point, caller. And feel free to continue to raise it as much as you like until it gets sorted out. We will try to see what we can do on my side as well to ensure that message gets through. All right. Thanks very much, caller. Have a good one. Now, we will then head to our break for our weather news at this time to find out what's going on with our Met service.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home. Really? Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with these tile stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up. What are you looking for? Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle-dazzle. Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my #1 store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous tiles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for. That sounds perfect. I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation. I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
Hurricane season can be unpredictable, but your business doesn't have to be. In the face of adversity, you need a partner that goes above and beyond. Choose the path of resilience and certainty with C&W Business. Through disaster recovery as a strategy solution, CNW Business will safeguard your critical data, maintain seamless communication channels, and help you bounce back faster than ever before. Visit our website, cwcbusiness.com/myopenbusiness to learn more. Remember, a safe business is an open business.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And that's all, of course, on the 1.1 and 99.1 FM. It's now time for the weather report, brought to you by Island Style and Flow. The forecast for St. Lucia valid for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from the southeast near 15 miles per hour or 24 kilometers per hour. The weather mostly cloudy with some scattered showers, scattered light to moderate showers, and isolated thunderstorms. The forecast for the Los Angeles. Overcast with moderate to heavy showers, frequent thunderstorms, and tropical storm force winds over the Leeward Islands. For the south, generally cloudy with scattered light to moderate showers and isolated thunderstorms. We now move over to the tropical weather outlook. And it reads, Tropical Storm Philippe. Well, Philippe will continue to impact the Leeward Islands during the next 24 hours. Moisture and instability associated with this system will continue to cause scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms over the remainder of the Los Angeles during the forecast period. At 11 a.m. today, the center of Tropical Storm Philippe was located near latitude 18.9 degrees north and longitude 63.9 degrees west, or 70 miles or 115 kilometers northwest of Anguilla. Philippe is moving towards the northwest near 10 miles per hour or 17 kilometers per hour. Maximum sustained winds are near 45 miles per hour or 75 kilometers per hour with higher gusts. On the forecast track, the center of Philippe is expected to pass north of the British Virgin Islands today, then move away from the northern Leeward Islands beginning tonight. A tropical storm warning is in effect for Anguilla. A tropical storm watch is in effect for British Virgin Islands. Interest elsewhere in the Leeward Islands should continue to monitor the progress of the system. Also, a tropical wave located over the central tropical Atlantic is moving westward near 21 miles per hour or 33 kilometers per hour. Another tropical wave over the far eastern tropical Atlantic is moving westward near 12 miles per hour or 19 kilometers per hour. And this was the weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style and Flow.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
St. Lucia, the best deals on tires are at Island Style. Get into the festive spirit with our pre-Christmas style clearance sale. Starting now. We're slashing prices on a wide selection of high-quality tires, offering unbeatable discounts from 15 to 50% off. Enjoy huge savings now on our massive inventory of ceramic and porcelain tires for every need. We've got the perfect tires to make your home merry and bright. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to give your home a stunning makeover at jaw-dropping prices. Visit us today in Castries, Rodney Bay, and Viewfolks, or call 450-451-453 tile. That's 8453 today. Hurry down. These deals won't last long. Save money now. Only at Island Style.
Hurricane season can be unpredictable, but your business doesn't have to be. In the face of adversity, you need a partner that goes above and beyond. Choose the path of resilience and certainty with CNW Business. Through disaster recovery as a strategy solution, CNW Business will safeguard your critical data, maintain seamless communication channels, and help you bounce back faster than ever before. Visit our website, cwcbusiness.com/myopenbusiness to learn more. Remember, a safe business is an open business.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Now, of course, we've got about 10 minutes to go before the hour of 2 o'clock. And if you want to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, the number to do so is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And you can also send in your messages via WhatsApp. That is 724-0008. As I was mentioning earlier on, the Parliament is meeting, and I think there are two items, resolutions down for borrowing. In one instance for the Youth Economy Fund, and I think the other is for support for the St. Lucia Fire Service. And of course, during that presentation, we saw some ministers' statements. One matter of interest and concern is as a result of a flyer which was circulating just today, I believe, just this morning, and that was on the matter of the Shock Bridge and raising concerns about that structure. Well, the Shock Causeway, if you want to call it that. But that, of course, that structure has in the past suffered considerable damage and had to be repaired, rehabilitated. In fact, the Minister of Infrastructure was speaking today and was pointing out that it, in fact, has already been done for rehabilitation, and that work is, in fact, going to be commencing very shortly. Let's take in a call at this time. Good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Hi, pleasant good afternoon.
Hi, caller. How are you? I'm good, thank you.
I'm not too bad, thanks.
Wonderful.
Let me ask you a question, because I really want to know. Why is it that the government is not employing an individual to do clerical duties with regards to reports for collisions on the road? When one is found in a collision,
Right.
they have to wait months upon months, and it looks like as if they're bothering the police officer who's in charge of the crime, of the accident scene,
yeah.
for you to get a report so that you could claim from your insurance, or you could claim for the person who you hit.
Right.
Why is it that they're not seeing that this section is not working properly? Because the thing is, a police officer has to go on the road, go to that collision. Sometimes by the time they go to that collision, there is another collision or there is another report.
Sometimes it might be late at night.
Pardon?
I said, and it's quite often late at night, or, you know.
And sometimes they don't get a chance to sit down for them to do that.
Right.
Why is it that so many people are unemployed? Why is it that the government has not seen it fit to employ a few persons to do report writing and put something in place that the insurance companies pay a percentage of the salary? Because in some parts of the world, is basically the insurance doing this.
Well, you are raising a very important point, and no doubt we're seeing, with so many vehicles on the roads, we're going to be seeing more accidents happening, and this is going to become more and more of an issue. And I don't know that the traffic department has been increased in size, so certainly it's limited in terms of the number of people out there, number of officers, and you're raising a really important point, caller. I think also the method as to how they take the information, maybe sometimes they need to just record it, audio, and then that way it can then be passed on to...
Or the government could invest in getting them some tablets to go, very small tablets, portable ones.
That's very
correct.
correct.
On the scene, so they put that thing in the system, or they contact somebody and the person is writing right away.
It should
or
be...
typing right away. Because we're living in an age of technology, yet still, persons have to wait for months. And every time you have to be going up and down behind a police officer. Can you get your thing? Can you get your thing? You need it. And it's putting you at a disadvantage. It is not fair. It is unfair to citizens.
So you're raising a very important point. Because I know the other issue too is like police, your character reports. Those things sometimes take a while too. So a lot of these things, yes, I think you're spot on. The police need to see how those systems can be streamlined. I think your recommendation is a very valid one. If they could, in fact, have a set form which they just are inputting the information in real time, that would help.
But the thing is,
significantly.
Calix, they would need somebody at the other end to do it. Because the thing is, okay, let's be realistic. Like I was saying to you a while ago, you came from on a police report scene, a traffic accident scene. right? By the time you leave that scene, or sometimes you don't even leave it yet, you're getting another call for another one. There is no feasible way that a police officer could sit down and write that report for you or remember all those incidents. So if you have somebody who's working, their duties are to sit at a desk, right, to type up reports, because there are so many collisions happening now. And then during that time that probably a collision is not happening and they've gotten these reports out of the way, get them something else to do. There is a lot of clerical work to be done, and it's not being done. It's like as if our...
I understand what you're saying, that there may be some back-end things that you should be able to do in the office, but I suspect, too, that the reporting officer has to sign off on it. So, yes, so if it is a situation where they can provide whatever information is available, so it can be written up in whatever form. Or, like I said, if there is, in fact, as you said, a set form which they're just putting in the information in one time. You can upload a photo, you can upload whatever the case may be, maybe a map of where it has occurred. All of these details, put it in, and so that can get going much quicker. And like as you said, maybe in terms of the quality control, there should be somebody who is, looking at the finer details somewhere in the back somewhere to do so. So yes, the whole system needs to be looked at to see how it can be made more efficient and streamlined, because you're very correct. There's no reason why those reports should be taking months and months and months.
Thank you very much. I think the government needs to look into that urgently.
Thanks very, very much for raising that, caller, and have yourself a wonderful day.
You too.
And of course, we are raising these things, and some of these, we think these are sometimes considered minor, but they in fact do have, as the caller is rightfully pointing out, they do have implications in terms of how quickly people can get matters sorted out, in terms of their payments and getting back on the road, whatever the case may be. So it perhaps should also be, and of course, again, if this thing was streamlined from an IT perspective, the quality control issues should be much easier, because then you would know exactly, well, you know what, the accident happened on this date, the report was generated by that date. And so, of course, you'll be able to check to see where the entire system is in terms of the efficiency and quality of delivery. And I think these things are important because these are types of metrics that then your Ministry of Home Affairs, your government should then be seeing, look, okay, you guys are falling behind on this basis, or you're doing better in this area, very good. And so you can see, well, where the gaps are, where things need to be improved across the board. But it certainly requires accountability by the respective agency or agencies. Let's take in another call at this time. Good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchroom. What's on your plate today? Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, I had to call again, but I can recall some time ago, a few years ago, there was this tablet of thing they give the traffic officers. So on the scene of a crime, they just have to put it through. Once they have the people seeing, everything would just go into that tablet. But I wonder what became of that afterwards. Because it was on the news. They actually showed what they give the traffic officers for when they're on the scene of a crime, which would make it a lot easier for them to just put everything into that tablet.
Well, thanks for raising that, caller. I know there were attempts to ensure that they had information for, in terms of getting the number plates and the registration and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But if it was actually designed to do that even better, so that would have really helped in terms of the streamlining of the process. That would have been great. So maybe that's a question that we can certainly try to get the police to get some feedback on.
Okay.
You had another question you were saying?
No, let me get that. I hear there's going to be a big protest.
Oh, a protest.
Yes.
I think I saw something about, I didn't really see the detail of it. I didn't really get it, but that there was a call for a protest.
Oh, Miss Nancy Charles called for a protest for mismanagement of the country and all sorts of things like that. But they have not given a date for all of those, for when that protest will be taking place.
Well, I mean, let's face it, caller. We all have our rights to express ourselves, freedom of expression. If the opposition believes that they feel certain ways and they have issues, I mean, it's within their right to be able to plan and to effect whatever the case may be, marches or whatnot. So I suppose they will have to. And then sometimes it might be also a means of seeing if there is going to be support and whether they can bring people out to the streets and. Let's hope, though, it's certainly meaningful and it is something regarding, an issue that is very clear. That would be useful. But we've seen others. Remember, we saw protests over gas prices and hidden taxes. So.
Would you, as an observer, say there's mismanagement of the country?
Well, I may not see it, but maybe they're seeing something that maybe other people are not seeing. I don't know, caller. Like I said, people protest for so many different things, right? Whether it may be some rights that they have, whatever the case may be. We would like to believe that they're doing so on the basis of something, but they would have to come out and say, well, look, this is why we believe we are protesting. I'm not clear as to what the specific issue is.
Management of the country.
That's very vague, though. So, mismanagement of what? Mismanagement, I mean, that could be, who knows what that is really referring to. So, I mean, it would be useful for them to identify exactly what is the cause. And, of course, if you don't have that, then it's very unlikely that people will come out and necessarily follow you.
Because let me tell you, HGS have this thing every 3 days in a week. They have this e-poll. And everything action that they take, they bring up an e-poll on that. And they question the people on the street. And these are just ordinary people. People you maybe even think. And you should always hear the people's response.
Now, if it is about, and I don't know, I'm just saying, I think maybe it might be about the Health and Citizen Security Levy, if that is what it is. If it's a matter of taxes, then I don't know if it is necessarily very well placed.
There's also to redirect the funds given by the Saudi Arabia side.
They want the funds for to redirect it to what?
That's what I want. I am not sure what yet, but they asked to redirect funds because I think the funds is for the St. Jude's Hospital and for the George Orlam Stadium.
Right.
I think they're asking now to redirect that, into helping the people and all sorts of things. So, but isn't there a 1,005 that will be given at the end of November to the 5,000 people that really did not receive anything?
Yes, so the government, I think, is committed to providing some income support, I think, to, is it close to 4,000 people or thereabouts? I think there's an application process for that as part of post-COVID-19 recovery efforts. So I don't know, I mean, this fund is largely for infrastructure, right? The Saudi fund. So I don't know that you could just necessarily redirect it. And again, to what? Because clearly there is a priority of completing St. Jude Hospital. So that should be given priority, one would think. And in addition to that, of course, the George Orlam National Stadium, we've seen pictures and videos coming out of it all the time in terms of the issues there and the deterioration of that facility over the years. Clearly, there's need for, rehabilitation there as well.
Especially for our school or sporting academy, you need that stadium.
Right. I would like to believe and like to hope that the government will be very frugal about that loan and ensure that it gets best value for money. And then maybe if there's additional surplus space within the loan financing, that $200 million envelope for other projects, I have no doubt that the government would probably try to be looking to see it used for other things. I mean, look, for instance, the issue of the box, right, and what to do with the box is another major one, right? You remember to complete half of the box was another $70 million, right? So then if that is going to be part of it, I don't know if
it is direct to do the box, maybe.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't know if there's going to be any space, wiggle room within the loan. Hopefully, there should be, to be able to tackle some other pressing issues, whether it's dealing with maybe policing. When I say policing, in terms of police infrastructure or equipment and things that might be able to assist the island in other areas, maybe housing, So let's hope that can be done. I think the important thing is to ensure that you're getting good value for money, for whatever monies are being borrowed. That should be the principle, to ensure that it's going to get good value for money.
Okay, and I need to just say one thing. Mr. What's his name? Prudent?
Mr. Prudent, I think he's the
Mr. Prudent
chair.
was saying about the heat is really, really, really killing, and it's due to the blight of things from. But I don't understand how the heat can be killing Mr. Prudent when isn't he in the company of AC?
Well, maybe the AC is not working, caller, so maybe that's a part of the problem. Maybe that's his issue to deal with.
It shouldn't be troubling him at all because he's always in the company of AC.
Yeah, that might be so, but who knows? Maybe he can't work. It's not working. It's not functioning. I don't know, caller. But those comments are just quite frankly very frivolous. And I guess politicians will engage in some level of frivolity from time to time, but I didn't really pay very much attention to that statement by Mr. Prudent.
Because when you listen, you want to hear something. You just want to hear something, but you hear sometimes what's coming out. It's like every Sunday there's a comedy show. You just sit there and get ready to sit back, enjoy and have fun because.
And some people look at politics for that reason, caller. I said some people enjoy their politics for that reason. It's just about laughter and entertainment. So I guess you could say it is what it is.
But when it comes to what's going on in the country and things to be done in order to get to a better stage than we are right now, and for the future. We play too many games. Agreed.
Very much so, caller. Definitely agree with you. Thanks very much for that contribution.
Okay,
and hope you have a good one. And, of course, to all our callers, hope you're having a safe day. We're going to have to end it here because we're over time. We'll be back again tomorrow, God willing, for another program of the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. Tomorrow is also the funeral service of Mr. Conrad Darius James, Dr. Freezers, as he was known to many. That is happening at the Minor Basilica of the Immaculate Conception tomorrow afternoon at about 2 o'clock. That's all the time we have. I'm your host, Alex George Jr., saying goodbye.